Success Insight shares the stories of the people with passion and drive who make things happen in the world. Here's your host, Howard Fox.
Welcome, everybody. For my co-host, Randy Ford, this is Howard Fox in the Success Insight podcast. I hope you are having a great week wherever you are, whatever you're doing. I'm very excited today to introduce you to a gentleman, Ron Myers. He is an author, creator of the Simplified University. He's a sought-after speaker and an Uplifting Life Partner. Now, why he's with us today is he's written a really interesting book that I know you just want to learn more about. Ron has written the Relationship Success Handbook. Get rid of your problems, not your life partner. Ron, welcome to the Success Insight podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate being here.
You are out on the West Coast. Hopefully you have a nicer weather than we're having. It's hot and humid and rainy here in Chicago, but
yeah, it's really nice out here. It's in Southern California. And so, the weather here gets pretty good. It started out a little muggy, but sun is coming out right now.
That's good. Well, I'll tell you something. Every time I go out to Southern California, it's like, okay, how can I stay out here? So I right now I'm envious. There's a little bit of envy going on. And so, Ron, I really would love to learn more about you and the work that you've been doing and what led you to write this really interesting book. And by the way, I am holding my newest Kindle Fire, and as I was showing Ron, I do have his book on my Kindle. I've got some reading to finish up. But Ron, congratulations on the book.
Thank you.
And so tell us more about it. Let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I spent 30 years in the financial service arena, and I moved to the regional vice president status within a few years. And then part of that business was actually recruiting people that wanted to earn income, either part-time or full-time. And that business also gave me the opportunity to sit across the kitchen table with families and help them get control of their financial picture. And that entire experience allowed me to spend time up close and personal with a lot of people. And what I recognized was people were having a lot of major relationship issues, my team members and clients. And because of this interaction with people and wanting to serve them, I became, and I still am, a studier of human behavior. And I spent a lot of money on programs and attending events. And I actually started spending more time with our team and working on their thinking and relationships than I even did with the products. And that actually is what shed light on what my true passion was. And here we are.
That's interesting. So financial services, pretty significant role, and a role that no doubt has impact on other people's lives.
Correct.
And then in turn, your customers' lives as well. So you have huge opportunity to influence. I'm curious, you mentioned studying other leaders in the self-development, professional development space. Was there one or two that resonated for you?
Probably a lot of it had to do with a lot of my studying was Tony Robbins. And then I also did a lot of Esther Hicks, which for Law of Attraction, and Les Brown, so you need the motivation in there somewhere.
Right.
And, T. Harv Eker, because he does the financial services. Right. And so it's really a broad range of people, because I'm always open to really expanding my understanding of people and life in general.
So as you kind of bring in essentially you're a lifelong student. I mean, we're always about the self-development and ongoing self-development. When we stop learning, well, things stop.
You got it.
So working with your team and then the folks that are sitting across the table from them, what are some kind of stories here and there? What were you hearing? Was there some consistent themes that they were struggling with?
Well, most of the time when sitting across the kitchen table, what I realized more than anything was people weren't on the same team as a couple. And you see them arguing over the littlest things, the kids, just the way that the partner talked to each other. It was just amazing to me to watch. And it helped me realize, especially because we're taught in the financial field, the number one reason for people getting divorced is money. And so that kind of worked great for what I was doing, that I could use that when I'm talking to people. Well, this is the number one reason. But the more that I spent time with clients and with my team, I started to realize it's not true. it made me really want to understand what was going on with people in their relationships, because I've come to realize, and at least I believe, I tell people, two people that are committed to each other will be homeless together. So if that's true, then money is not the deciding factor. The same thing when we look at people that have money, they're getting divorced on a daily basis. With those things show you that obviously money is not the key. It may be, and I tell people, it's true, it may be the number one conversation in your house, but it's not the reason that you guys are getting divorced. And so that's what really made me want to study even more and understand, why are people doing what they're doing, and why are we having the challenges that we're having? And it helped me realize a lot of this is just the way people feel about themselves. And that's what's become the major issue. That's why it's called Get Rid of Your Problems, not your partner.
Excellent. And how long has had the book been kind of in a contemplative phase? Like, there's something going on here. I need to learn more about it. Hey, I can write a book about this. Well, how did that kind of evolve?
Well, it's funny because the book actually came into being just kind of as part of the wanting to get my message out. It was never really something like, I guess I used to think a long time ago, man, it'd be nice to write a book, but it was never really that driving thing. And then all of a sudden I was like, how do I get this message out? How do I share with more people and get it out to them faster? Because you can only be at so many places at one time, and you can only get out to so many people. And I was like, this is a way that I could get my message out to masses of people until I could physically get to them. And then it also is something that I know now I can leave behind. We always talk about that legacy.
Right.
And I've always said I wanted to be, and it's funny because I've always had this vision of, I got to leave a legacy. I want, when people say my name, that people know I was here. And I never even thought about that. And then as the book got close to being released, I was like, whoa, this is something that I'll actually have, that I'm leaving, that will be my legacy, that's way beyond me. And it's like, oh, wow, it's amazing how these things actually come into play, because it wasn't really something I focused on, but it is something that I realize now that will come into play.
That's a very interesting story, and I appreciate the idea of legacy. Is, having not been married, no kids, what's my legacy? What are people going to think of me? How are they going to remember me? And I just recently, and I know from your story, and hopefully you're open to chatting a little bit about this. I've had a number of losses in my life, friends through cancer this year, and just one was just a phenomenal woman and a wonderful coach.
Yes.
And just realized, God, I'm not going to go to events anymore, and I'm not going to see her face. And it's just like, but then, everybody that we speak, when we talk about her as a group, it's like, oh, what a person. And, you start to think about, what do I want to leave behind? How can I show people that I've made a difference? Because we go into coaching, we go into development because we want to help people, and we want to make a difference, not only for them, but also for ourselves.
Definitely. And that's why I always tell people, even because I've had that conversation where people have told me, because the same thing, my wife couldn't have kids. So people would ask me, they say, what is your legacy? And, you need that for your legacy. And I tell people that's not true. I said, because your kids could actually be a bad mark on your name. You know what I'm saying? Based on the way they live their life. So if you're looking for someone or anything outside of you to be your legacy, then it's a bad place to look. Your legacy, I tell people, you're making a legacy every day by all the people that you come across in your life. The question is, what legacy are you leaving? Are you the person that they're looking at and saying, man, I'm grateful, just like you said with the young lady, I'm grateful that she came into my life and the things I was able to get? Or are you the person that people are looking at and saying, man, because of him, I'll never go down this path that he taught me, which I can say in my life, I don't drink and never have. And that's why I had people in my life that actually had drinking issues, and family events would turn into fights.
Right.
And what it did, it put an imprint on me that said, this is what drinking equals. And so because of that, I didn't drink. Well, see, that's the legacy they left to me. It may not be one that they're proud of, and only they can answer how it feels for them. But for me personally, that is the legacy they left. So I tell people, so your legacy is always on a daily basis. I was just hearing who was it? I think Oprah was saying that she was talking to someone that, I think it was Maya Angelou that told her, you can never measure your legacy. And the reason is because you have to go back decades and throughout your life on all the people that you've made an imprint on, which means everybody you come through on a daily basis.
Most definitely.
You'll never be able to measure.
As an individual, someone who, you've been responsible for others, whether it was in the military or on your team that you managed, and thinking about the book that you have now authored, how would you describe yourself as an individual? I mean, if you were just, get up a 30-second elevator speech, how would you describe yourself?
A person of high character and integrity, because I tell people my integrity means everything to me. It was actually one of the reasons I had to hurry up and get the book out, because originally I was with a publisher, and it was a $50,000 project, and I was probably about $25,000 into the project, and it was like, I had these people waiting on this book, and I'm like, I still got to get the funding done, and I said, you know what? Every day that book is not published, I feel like my integrity is taking a hit. Even though the people that pre-ordered the book, I kept them up to date and told them what was going on. But every day for me personally, it was eating at me. Sure. And I was just like, you know what? Forget this. I'm going to bite the bullet. Yes, that's $25,000 out the window. I got to get this book released. I can do all the other stuff, all the marketing and all that stuff I got to figure out. I'll do that afterwards. But most important to me is to get this book out and fulfill a promise that I had to others. And so for me, that's probably the major things I would say about me. Character and integrity means everything.
Excellent. And yeah, it's no small task to author a book. And, and part of being able to get it done is getting others to help support us. And that's through saying, hey, I'm writing a book. They become your biggest fans. But I get that, you want to be able to hold yourself accountable and be in integrity and get that out there. And well, we hope that, the folks that were waiting for that book, love to know what they think about it. So it's,
yeah. And I've gotten great feedback, which made me feel very good. When people come back and say, I know which personality I am, or I know which, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. It's like, oh, they actually read it, because unless they couldn't tell me what personalities are unless they actually read the book. And so people say, I saw the story about Terry, and they're like, it made me cry, stuff like that. And you just go, wow, okay, so it is making an actual impact.
Who, as far as the audience for your book and this genre of self-help book and relationship book, heaven knows I could use a book like that, being a single male. And I also recognize what you just shared about, our family and the people we've been around and how that impacts things we do or don't do today.
Yeah.
Who's this genre of this book? I mean, is there a specific audience that you hope this resonates the most for?
I would say it's more for people that are having relationship issues, either trying to avoid getting into them to begin with. How do I address them so I don't have those issues? People that are actually going through the issues now, how do I get out of them? And the people that want to prevent it in the future. And more importantly, probably for me, is the people who have the low self-esteem, the people that don't believe in themselves. Because a lot of people see the title of the book, get rid of your problems, not your partner, and they instantly think it's a marriage manual. And I tell people, I said, no, it's what it says. It says, get rid of your problems.
Your problems, yes.
Not your partner. And see, because partners are everyone. I said, me and you, this is our partnership now. Right. You see what I'm saying? This is our partnership. So if I could get rid of my problems, our partnership works. You follow what I'm saying? I tell people, even the people you release out of your life, that partnership works for you. You see what I'm saying? Because you're at peace, even if you release them, because there's a reason that you released them, because they're not going in the direction in which you're going. It's not saying good, bad, right, or wrong. It's just saying we're not headed in the same direction. So I have to release you, you know what I'm saying, from participating in what I'm doing in my life.
Certainly. As you have now produced the book, which is, again, no small feat. I mean, I equate it to having birthed the baby. If there was ever a feeling, it was painful, but it's done, and it's like, What were some of the aha moments, for you when like, all right, this thing's done
Yes.
and it's published and
Well, probably the most powerful thing for me is knowing, by having conversations, because during rideshare, I was actually driving rideshare and sharing, and a lot of people, I got conversations started because of the book, because I had the book cover in there and said book coming soon, or I say book is now here. And some of the conversations that I had from people in the car, as soon as they saw it, let me know I was headed down the right path. I actually had a gentleman who told me he had lost his wife had passed away 7 years previously. And he was going through the feeling sorry for himself mode. He was like, the only reason that I live now is for my two kids, my two sons. And he said, Ron, have you ever thought about suicide? And I said, no, I haven't. He says, I have. And so I took that instantly to say, this is not something that you just blow by and say, oh, well, wow, that guy thought about that and excuse that. So for me, the moment I got him home, I turned off my app and I said, let's talk. Let's have a heart to heart. And so I shared with him my story and the fact that I lost my wife 5 years ago. And she passed away just like what you were talking about earlier, to cancer. And I was with her for 32 years. And I helped him understand. I said, this is a young lady that was not just my wife. She was my best friend. I ran with my wife. I didn't run with guys. We were that couple. If you saw one, you instantly say, where's the other one? Right. So we were that couple. And so for me, losing her meant a lot. So I told him, I said, but here's the difference between you and I, and it's perspectives. And I call them stories. I said, you're writing the what if, the coulda, the shoulda, very depressing stories, which will bring on depression, which will bring on thoughts of suicide. I said, I went to the beach, looked at the water, and I said, man, it'd be nice if Terry was here. Then I kind of glanced up a little bit and I said, shoot, dear, you got a better seat than I do. You can see everything that's going on. I said, man, do you know my wife would reach down and slap me on the back of my head if I was being negative? I said, she would help me realize I don't have that much time here left myself, so I better enjoy the time that I do have. And I told him, and not only that, I could be depressed about the 50 years I'm not going to get with her, or I could be grateful for the 32 that I did. And I said, so guess what I do when I think about my wife? I think about the 32 that I did. And that's so when wonderful. I think about her, I smile. And I said, and that's what you owe those that left their memory. Smile. This is not a time, and the world teaches us to be depressed and go through. They'll tell you, oh, it's okay. No, it's not. And that's kind of one of the things I share with people. I said, it's not. The original emotional stuff, if you got to fall, you hit the pillow, fall on the floor, scream, holler, do what you got to do. Nobody's trying to tell you to hide your emotions. You need to let that out. You need to release it. But after that, it's time for us to move forward. And now what you owe them and yourself is happiness and joy, and be able to move forward and be grateful for the time you got to spend with them.
I think it's really powerful. And there's so much angst in society today. There's overwhelm. I mean, there's the social overwhelm, the computers, the messages, and I think we need a vehicle both for ourselves and for our relationships to kind of take a step back, find a method, a vehicle to let out that emotion.
Yes.
But then be around others who are going to be there to support us, or to, they don't have to say a word. They just have to be there.
Yes. Yes.
And it's just, I think we need more of that. And so now that you have this book,
yes,
I guess what I'm really curious to is what goes with this book. I mean, I don't expect, here, read the book and good luck with that, but there's a lot of lessons learned. I mean, you're Tony Robbins, Les Brown, all those entrepreneurs and thinkers and coaches. Yes. So it's almost as though something else comes with this book. What is that?
What my ultimate goal is to start doing like Tony Robbins and Les Brown, end up on the stage with those type of people and being able to speak to the public. And I'll do in the meantime, until I get to that point, is do like live webinars. And as I move towards getting on stage, I'm putting together, matter of fact, I did just put together like some video series on the 4 personalities. A lot of the stuff that I teach. I've actually put together video series and stuff. And so those are the things that I'm in the process of doing. I'm getting ready to put together a master class, which will go through a lot of the things that I'm teaching and sharing. And so it basically just get out there and get the message out, because we got to get people to a point. I heard it said there's 2 ways to build the tallest building. One, you build the tallest building. The second one, tear down the buildings around you so you are the tallest. And unfortunately, most people in our society live in that second one. I tell people, why do you think we have the political, the religious, and all the other battles? The biggest one we got going on now is man versus woman, which is crazy to me. We got men and women. It's like we're on the opposite sides, and this is someone you're talking about marrying, but now it's like we're enemies, and it's just crazy to me. And so for me, I said we got to teach people how to build that tallest building, which is themselves. Because I said once you understand your value and know that you're worthy and you're enough, then there's no reason to tear anyone else down. It becomes now, how can I reach back and help pull you up so that your building becomes tall also? Excellent.
As you go back and think, the construction of the book, is there, I'm sure every chapter is important. There's a story behind it, but is there a story or two within that book that like, this is my go-to, my favorite? If I have to share this with anybody, this is what's going to be. Anything like that to resonate for you?
Probably the main one we mentioned a little bit earlier, and that's the one of the loss of my wife. Okay. And the reason for that is because it's helping people get up and realize you have to move forward in your life. And you have to, because I had a gentleman just the other day, same thing. He was in town, and he was here because his friend's mom was given 2 weeks to live. And he said, I don't know what to say to him. And I told him, I said, he's got to snap out of it. And it shocked him. His mouth dropped open like, wow, that wasn't the response that he expected. But I shared with him kind of what we're talking about is he has a choice in the next 2 weeks. He can enjoy his mom and have great memories after she passes away, if she passes away. Or he can live in the future, which is what's going to happen when she leaves, and he's living it in his present life, and so he's depressed, and he doesn't enjoy these 2 weeks, which will give him some more stuff to be depressed about later if she does pass. And so that's why that particular chapter means a lot to me, because it addresses this kind of thought process, is helping people understand you got to be able to move forward. You know what I mean? And not let these losses, or the fact that it's a possible loss, stop you in your tracks, because that's what life is about. It's about enjoying it. And so that's probably for me the main one. And then understanding like the first chapter. That's why I started with it. Self-love. That's where it all starts. I said, if I can get you to love you some you, I forget which football player said, I think it was Terrell Owens made the comment, he's like, I love me some me. And I tell people, I said, people may have laughed and not understood what he said, but I got to get you to that point. Because when you get there, then everything else falls in place. Because now you're not out hunting for someone else to fill a void. And I think that's what happens in a lot of relationships, is people go into the relationship expecting someone to heal them for things that are their issues that they haven't resolved. And then they blame the partner when they're not, quote unquote, cured, but it was never the partner's job to do that to begin with. That's why it starts with you. And that's why that's the first chapter, as I said, man, let's get you taken care of. Shoot, all this other stuff, it'll fall in place.
That's excellent. And, again, folks, we're talking to Ron Myers, the author of the Relationship Success Handbook. Get rid of your problems, not your partner. Ron, we've still got some time left, but I do want to make sure, if our listeners want to learn more about you and your book, do you have a website, a URL? What's the best way to find you and learn more about you and your work?
You could go to the relationshiphandbook.com, and that's where the book is. But then also I'm in the process, and I'm still adding stuff to that site. And that's a good place to actually get more insight on me, and I'm pushing more of my material that way. That way I can push everybody to that one site. I'm doing a lot of videos now. I restarted a new YouTube channel. I had the one, Ron Simplified Myers, which you could pull up. I probably got about 1,000 videos on that one. But a lot of those are personal videos included in that type of stuff. So I just started a new one, which is ronsuchannel.com.
Right.
And that one I'm doing more specifically around this work we're talking here, which is around relationships and simplifying life.
Excellent.
And so that's another place.
Okay. And by all means, we're going to have links in the show notes to that site. We're going to have links to your Amazon page so people can go and check out the book, learn more about it. I'm curious. I mean, I as I sit here and, some folks don't realize we're actually on a web platform. So I'm actually sitting here chatting with Ron, seeing Ron, and I'm seeing the energy and the passion around who he is and what he's doing and the difference he wants to make. And, if there's as much passion there, in this book as I'm seeing right now, you got to go check this out. I am curious though, given your background and, what are some things people may not know about you that you'd like to share or would be willing to share? Anything come to mind?
That one that one is puzzling to me. It's like, cause I'm kind of an open book. I'm one of those people that pretty much, if you ask me, I'll tell you. And I mean, even my nephews tease me because they'll say, Uncle, he just don't hold nothing back. He'll tell you the intimates of stuff. And I said, because I'm not here to play games. I said, I'm here to help you change your life. And if it's stuff that I did that wasn't, even things that I may look back and go, man, I wish I hadn't have done that. I'd rather share it with you so that you don't follow that footstep and learn from it than I am trying to hide it. Because I don't have anything in my life that I can look back where I said, ooh, that's something I would never want the world to know. You know what I mean? I know we hear people say people got skeletons in their closet. And I go, I always try to think, I'm like, what skeleton do I have that I really would be ashamed if the world knew about? And I really can't think anything, because you're going to make your normal, what everybody calls mistakes and stuff. That's stuff that everybody does, but it's stuff that we can learn from. It's nothing that we really sit back and go, oh, I'm ashamed. I just don't have those things. So for me, it's kind of, I said that's a tough question, because I don't really have anything that I would say that I'm really ashamed of, or that's a secret.
That's fair enough. Sometimes I wonder about that myself, but something, even when I'm gone, there's nothing I'm going to do about it.
Right. I mean, it's over with now. It's done. You know what I mean? And I look at everything in the past as everything that has occurred got me to be the person I am today. For me, I look at everything. I say anything changes in my past, it changes who you see today. And I like the guy I see today. I tell people now, am I still striving to get better in every area? Of course. I mean, as long as I'm going to be here, I'm going to do that. I mean, I used to tell my dad that. He's like, boy, ain't nothing wrong with you. You good people. And I said, but Pops, I'm going to be here anyway. Now, why not strive to be a better son, a better husband or cousin or uncle? I'm going to be here anyway. It's like, to me, that makes more sense to strive on trying to get better myself and understanding people than it is for me to go sit there and watch some of these reality TV shows. You've all said it's like, I got a choice on what I'm going to do with my time. I'd rather say no. Help me enjoy life better than sit here watching how people are tearing each other down. That doesn't work for me. I
am fully on board with that one, let me tell you.
Yeah.
So I am curious, as our time does come to the end, is there any, in our show, we have what we call an insight to go. And this just gives, I mean, you've shared a lot of gifts to us today, the book, the site, the type of work that you're doing. But is there, an idea, a quote, something that you came across that, you really want to share with folks who are listening to this podcast today?
One of the things that I actually do on a daily basis is I'm always saying to myself all day long, everything works in my favor, always has, always will. And I think if you do that, even when things don't go the way I want them to, I instantly think, I'm not sure why this went this way, but everything works in my favor, always has, always will. So I don't know how, but it's going to work in my favor. And it allows even things that we call tragedy, it allows us to move forward because we say, Okay, I know it's going to work out. And I tell people, and the reason you know it works out in your favor is you're still here.
Mm-hmm.
All the obstacles, whatever we talk about, whatever we think about, we're still here. So obviously we overcome everything. It's always working in our favor. And so I think for me, if you take that and you use that in your life and everything that crosses your path, it makes life so much simpler and it allows you to move forward.
Excellent. Excellent. Anything else that you'd like to share, with our listeners about the book? You've got these programs that you're developing, the videos, want to be able to help you get you on stage. I mean, that's the beauty of this genre, the podcasting, is it's going to be out there.
Correct.
And personally, I'm actually impressed of just when I go out to California, I love getting in an Uber or a Lyft car. And I know when you and I first chatted to talk about, getting you as a guest on the podcast, you were just like finishing up one of your drives. And I was like, well, if that's not a repository of stories for a future book, I don't know what is. But it's interesting the impact that you're able to make. I mean, that gentleman you were just chatting about, asking about suicide. I mean, in the moment, you have the ability to have an impact on people's lives. And
it's awesome because just what you said, and I do that on a daily basis. I usually get at least 1 or 2 people a day that I actually get to put something in their lives because again, I have the little flyer in the back. So it always opens up conversations where people want to tell me what's going on in their lives and how should they handle this. And we talk about the value. And it was funny, just another quick story that hit my head with a young lady. She got in the car. She was dressed, kind of showing everything. And it was a first date. So I know normally back in my days when I thought I was a little player, thought I was the man, my first thought if a woman shows up like this, you already know. So I was sitting there and I said, let me share something with her real quick. Because this is, because I've shared it with some ladies in my past that I knew slept with a guy the first night. And I told her, I said, let me ask you a question. And I said, this is what I share with them. Would you allow that guy that you were with last night? I said, would you give him the keys to your car? And they said, no, I don't know him well enough to give him the keys to my car. And I said, but didn't you sleep with him? And they're like, yeah. And I said, I know you're not telling me your car is more valuable than you are. And I said, because your move showed that you wouldn't give him the keys to your car, but you'll go to bed with him. You gave him the most valuable asset you'll ever have, which is you. And you gave that, the girl, she was like, oh, Ron, you have no idea what you just did. She said, I'm getting ready to walk into this date with a whole different attitude, whole different demeanor. Now I probably messed the guy up. I'll be honest. I know I probably messed up his date, but for me, for her to understand her value and her significance, that to me is more important than worried about his little feelings getting hurt.
Yeah. And I'm wondering, did you get 5 stars on your Uber?
Oh yeah. We did get the 5 stars on that one. Yeah.
Because that counts too. But I heard the message. It's like sometimes you wonder. As I get older, I sometimes wonder when I go down the street. It's like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Well, we have thoroughly enjoyed having you as a guest on the podcast, and I'm like really excited to see, what happens as a result of the book, the Relationship Success Handbook. And I mean, you and I are similar circles, leadership, professional development, self-development. And so I'm looking forward to staying in touch with you. We're connected on LinkedIn as well.
Yes.
And, the folks that are going to see this podcast will be sharing it all over the social sites. So, I'm excited to see what happens again. So, I really appreciate you taking the time and to spending with us in a little piece of paradise. It was Long Beach, as I recall.
Yeah.
All right.
And as we close, I do want to give people the opportunity to get the book actually for free.
Okay.
And they can do that at relationshipfreebook.com. And that allowed them the opportunity to get access, because I'm not concerned with selling books. I'm concerned with getting the message out.
That's excellent. Excellent. So folks, relationshipfreebook.com. This is the Relationship Success Handbook. You want to check it out. Get rid of your problems, not your partner. this podcast with Ron's going to be up on the Success Insight podcast in probably the next 7 to 10 days, hopefully sooner. Ron, thank you so much for spending time with us, and I hope you enjoyed it. I know I did, and I know our listeners are going to get a lot of value out of this.
Definitely. I appreciate the time. It's been an honor.
Excellent. Hang on for just a minute while we sign off. Folks, that's it. This is Howard Fox, the co-host of the Success Insight podcast, for my co-host, Randy Ford. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, go out there and have a phenomenal day. Thank you.
Success Insight is a production of Fox Coaching and First Story Strategies. Find us online, successinsightpodcast.com.